How you doing, people? Welcome back to another ESO build video. Today is a brand new update to the BFG build, specifically for update 47, where everyone thought the build was dead. Well, guess what? We're going to make some changes. Stay tuned, it's all coming up. So what happened? Basically, the Nightblade was changed so that Grim Focus no longer gives you weapon and spell damage, which means our overall damage goes down if we stack light attacks and heavy attacks and benefit from those at the time. Bear in mind, you can still benefit from the heal or the damage that comes from it if you fire it, so emergency heals are still there, and of course you can take advantage of the crit chance if you like, but we just have to suck up the loss. Then, the banner was changed so that the Crux generation from the Arcanist still works, but if you have Scholarship on, it doesn't. So instead of stacking 2 Cruxes at once and then a third one from this, we now only stack 2. So that's a problem. So what do we do? Well, basically, bit of a curveball here. We brought a friend. We took off the Nightblade. Yes, you can still use it. Yes, it's very, very valid. And you can still utilize this particular updated rotation with it. But if you want to get more damage on par almost of what you had before, you need this bad boy. Reason being is he is a constant source of damage and you don't really have to do anything. Now let's get into the interesting stuff. Now the stat sheet is something that confuses a lot of people. Most people try to look at the stats, find any gear sets they can and match it, and then they look at the video and go, my stats are different, I wonder how I can wiggle it. Don't do that. Basically the stats are irrelevant. They are what they are if you put the build together properly. They will match, they'll be exactly the same, you don't have to try too hard. We are using 2 sets that don't even show on the character sheet, so it's irrelevant. Basically, what you do need to understand is this. 64 points into stamina, Thief Mundus stone, and of course, flat, max stamina, max health food. All of that is on the website if you're confused. Race, by the way, is a passive. It'll be in the passive section. Now, we're going to go straight into the gear. What have we got? Well, same as before, actually. If you played this before, great, you don't have to change anything. If you haven't played it before, enjoy. So, Deadly Lightning Staff with a weapon and spell damage glyph on it. I know previously we used poison, but previously we had more single target damage, and now we are spreading out a little bit more and doing some overall. Anyway, we have Precise, which is very important, and we're using 3 other pieces of this set. Not 4, 3, because the staff counts as 2 pieces. Can you go daggers? Yes, of course you can, but you limit your range, and obviously you will lack the overall damage, so if you don't crit, then you're going to suffer quite hard. The testing has already been done for that. The lightning staff was stronger. We'll go into passives later. Anyway, weapon and spell damage, crit chance, weapon and spell damage again, and all damage over time or channeled effects are increased by 15%. Technically speaking, we're not doing much damage over time, unless you count status effects, which we have got some. The channeled stuff, however, counts towards our beam and our tentacle, which is our main sources of damage. So that boosts it all. Now, before you panic, you don't have to go and find the weapon and the jewelry or any other pieces for Deadly specifically. You can put it on the body. Now, I'd highly recommend that you find at least 1 piece in your gear set that you can change to light, which will be the crafted piece, and I'd recommend it is the belt. But the Deadly set itself, find whatever you can and slap it on. You don't have to put this on here by spending loads and loads of money on the market on weapons and jewelry. You can, of course, craft the weapon and jewelry because we're using Tideborn. Tideborn is a crafted set. They are both contributors to our overall damage, and we only have 1 bar, so it doesn't matter which weapon, jewelry, armor order you have it in, especially since you can decide the weight. So if you make 1 light on the belt, because the lowest resistance amount, as the Tideborn sash, the rest of it can go in any order you like. So 5 Tideborn, medium all the way through apart from the belt, and then 5 Deadly anywhere you like. We are using the Oakensole ring, of course. If you're not familiar with this particular ring, there is a guide on the website on how to acquire it and what it provides, but all those buffs come with you all the time. It essentially locks your bar so you can't bar swap, and it gives you all these buffs and bonuses in return. Now, traits. Bloodthirsty on absolutely everything with weapon and spell damage and recovery bonus. That is Kuta, Ripora, and Tadari. And then we want stamina on absolutely everything. Same order of glyphs, except instead of Tadari, you use Denis. Really, really simple stuff. Now, the shoulder is a monster shoulder of your choice. Bear in mind, you want it to be medium if you can help it, and you want everything to be in divines. Technically speaking, you want anything that can give you weapon and spell damage or crit chance. Crit chance is a little low, so you might not want to dip into that since ours is really, really low anyway, so just take the flat damage. The INF is quite early on, it's quite easy to get. And if you have to, you can, of course, just put it on the helmet instead of the shoulder and just swap these around because the helmet and shoulder resistances are identical. There's lots of different weights and lots of different bonuses, but those two are the same. So to recap, Lightning Staff, not necessarily any of the sets, you can do it in any order. Lightning Staff with weapon and spell damage with precise. Medium all the way through with a monster set with spell damage or crit chance. And light on the belt. 3 bloodthirsty, weapon and spell damage, done. Remember, the sets can go in any order. You don't have to spend your entire bank balance on a deadly lightning staff. You can just craft it. You can craft Tideborn and put 2 deadly pieces on. Now, let's make some sense of it and tell you the skills. First of all, we're taking advantage of Inspired Scholarship. This is from Herald of the Tome, which is an Arcanist skill line, and what you need to do is activate this, and it will give you a buff. It will turn your weapon green, and during this time, you will do damage when you do damage. So if you use your abilities to do damage every 3 seconds, you'll pulse and do extra damage, which will obviously increase your overall DPS as long as you maintain it. The buff that you get for Major Brutality and Major Sorcery is irrelevant right now because we have that all the time with the ring anyway. Essentially what this does is as long as you do damage while you have no Cruxes available, you will gain one. So this is a guaranteed 1 Crux builder without even trying. Maintain this at all times. Next is Pragmatic Fate Carver. Now the trick to the Arcanist is to stack Cruxes. There's a class guide on my channel if you want to see more of that, but technically speaking what you need to do is build up to 3 and then you utilize the skill to consume them. Or you can maintain them and take advantage of their uptime and have big buffs and bonuses from passives. Generally speaking, this build, we want to build 3 Cruxes, then use this skill. This is your beam. This does damage very, very fast in frontal area of effect, so 3 meters wide by 22 long, and this will do damage every 0.3 seconds, and it counts as direct damage. So, if you paid attention to the Tideborn set and Deadly, we've got a channel, which this is, and direct damage, which this also is, so both of them stack together. So we are actually taking advantage of 2 individual sets that both boost this skill at the same time as boosting it 3 times with 3 Cruxes. Short version, stack 3 Cruxes, use your beam, stack 3 Cruxes, use your beam. It looks like this. If you don't have the Cruxes, you will see a significant decrease in your overall DPS. The other benefit to this particular version is 1, it's cheaper, and 2, it actually has a damage shield. So while channeling, you will have a damage shield of up to 12k, so you can get in the face of the enemy. Yes, of course, you can have this skill interrupted, which means it will go grey on cooldown, but you just need to be careful of when and where you stand inside content. Sometimes you might get caught, sometimes you can shut this off and dodge right out the way. That way you can still reuse it afterwards. Bear in mind, if you are building Cruxes and you are using your beam, sometimes you might have to cut the beam off to block. That's tough, you've got to build your Cruxes up again. And that is the decider between making and breaking on target dummy numbers. Lots of people will show you some very, very dramatic numbers on the target dummy, which is nice. That does hit very, very hard. But in content, as soon as you stop, your beam stops doing damage, you stop doing damage, and you have to build your Cruxes up again. So there's lots of stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, and that long-term number is not consistent if you are actually playing complex mechanics. So bear in mind, keep an eye on your Cruxes at all times in order to utilize the most out of your DPS as you possibly can. Anyway, Bullnetch. That's right, we picked Warden as a subclass. We have got Animal Companions. So we've got Bullnetch on the bar. This basically sits there and gives you some nice passives. But if you activate this, the whole time it's running, you'll constantly get stamina back, which counters the loss that you are getting with the banner. It's not exactly the same, but it is very, very nice. Not to mention, of course, every 5 seconds, this will actually cleanse you. And just in case you wanted to, it's free, so you can cast it to cleanse yourself if you're in trouble at any point in time. This is here for both passive and active, depending on how much you want to utilize it. Pretty simple. Activate it. Gives you a beam. Cleanses you every 5 seconds. So those nasty dots that usually kill you and you can't survive them, well, just get rid of it. Anyway, next up is Squid Arms. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. Basically, you use this skill at an enemy, and they will have a debuff on them, or negative effect, let's say. That will increase your damage by 5%. So as long as they are inked, you will do more damage to them. Not only that, look around my character. You can see that there's a green triangle. Yep, this is a Crux builder. Each time you cast it, you'll get another triangle. Bear in mind, if you've got Scholarship on, that's 2 triangles for the first one, 3 triangles for the second. So, technically speaking, you would tentacle, tentacle, beam. and you consume them and do more damage. They're all gone. Do some damage with Scholarship running. 1, 2, and they're back. And that is it. Sounds more complicated than it actually is. Anyway, this particular skill does also count as a channel. It does count as direct. It does heal you if you do damage. And it has a wide and long effect. So it counts as area of effect and direct at the same time. So this. 2 of those, 1 of those, 2 of those, 1 of those, while maintaining this. We'll go over that in a rotation later, but it's pretty straightforward. Now, the one thing people are worried about is Scholarship versus the banner. What should you do now? Well, I had people come to me and give me my own information back to me. They're like, hey, don't you think you should use Cavalier's Charge? Like, hey, you were there in my live stream when I showed you to do it. It was the first test we did. After lots of testing, with all these different individual ones, and making the whole BFG from scratch on multiple different classes to utilize their class script instead, this topped out. This is not exactly equivalent to that of the Nightblade skill you used to have, but if you can get plenty of speed buffs in your group, it can get pretty damn close. So this will give you weapon and spell damage based on your speed bonuses. Bear in mind, we've got 6 medium pieces, which gives us 18% increase to speed. We can get minor and major expedition from the group if they choose to. There's lots of ways to boost this, so it can get quite dramatic. And of course, we're still keeping minor resolve because that is the only one on this list that isn't actually already on the ring. So we've got resistances, and we've got extra damage, and we've got increase to direct damage of all types. Magicka, physical, anything, doesn't matter. Now, the important part. The ultimate. Why did we change it? So the Nightblade ultimate was very, very useful, and it did actually benefit us by giving us a huge amount of increased DPS on single target. The bear is single target too, but unfortunately, due to some of the Nightblade changes, that did significantly decrease our overall DPS because the main thing that we were focusing on wasn't actually boosted anymore. You had to really try to go from one target to the other, rather than having that nice weapon and spell damage bonus across the board from Merciless Resolve, and then just slightly benefiting from single target. It was nice to have that beam hitting hard for all of them. Well, the bear is actually pretty handy because it goes from one target to another without you having to actually reactivate the skill. So Soul Harvest you need to use on single target. Once it's gone, you wait for the next one. The bear, if the target dies, the bear runs to the next one. If that dies, it runs to the next one. And it's got AoE effects as well. Not to mention, of course, even if you don't fire the ultimate, it has got constant damage with really good bleed application as well as far as hemorrhage statuses are concerned. So, while the other skill previously was really nice and was better in the previous update, this is now better for this build, and it is significantly improving the damage that you would have had you stayed the same as before. So, basically, adapt and overcome. This thing is mental. Every 75 ultimate that you gain, activate this. Simply just light attack it and activate it, and it'll hit really bloody hard. The rest of the time, it is a free skill. Now, passives are important. I want you to get them, but obviously they are going to do their job for you. You don't need to worry too much about how to initiate them or anything like that. It's just going to happen. So, building or consuming Cruxes, increase crit damage. If your bars fill, Magicka or Stamina, if it hits full, you get increased weapon and spell damage for a few seconds. Your status chances are higher and they hit harder, and you've got higher pen because of the amount of skills you have here on your bar. Each one contributes. Adric's Spear is the wildcard hidden passives that we're using. Adric's Spear ability slotted, don't have one. Adric's Spear ability used, don't have one. But this is massive. Burn and Light, when you deal damage, you gain a stack. When you get up to 4 stacks, it goes bang. That can happen once every half a second, even though we fire every 0.3. So this is rapidly placed and actually increases a hell of a lot of DPS for you, not just in single target, but on multiple targets as well, because it can bounce around and each one has their own individual stack up. So basically just hit stuff. This one increases your weapon and spell damage and armor. These two, buy them. These two, irrelevant. Unless, of course, you decide to slot this instead of the Bullnetch, but that's up to you. You're going to overcap on crit damage really quickly. Animal Companions. When your Animal Companion skill ends, you will get a heal. So if your Bettinetch or Bullnetch runs out, or if you just spam it for free, you will heal and heal and heal. Gain ultimate for using one of the abilities. Increase your Magicka and Stam recovery, which slightly counters some of the loss from the banner that you were struggling with. And increases your crit damage by 5% for each one on the bar. Technically speaking, we are sitting very pretty with that 10% bonus there with those two there. If you did swap this out for the temper skill, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend, just for safety's sake, you can though, you end up getting more. We are using the destruction staff, lightning staff specifically. If you heavy attack, you do splash damage at the pop at the end. That counts as direct, but the channel also counts, and the damage over time is separate to that, but it still counts towards deadly anyways. They don't double dip, but they do benefit from it. So all of our sets benefit your heavy attack. Bear in mind, that's not the only reason we've got the lightning staff. We have a lightning staff because lightning stave increase direct damage done. So the channel and the pop at the end are both boosted by Tideborn and Deadly. And the damage that we do, all of it, which is direct from the beam, direct from the tentacle, is further boosted by the passive here. We are using one piece of light armor. The purpose of this is to get the extra crit chance and the penetration value. The rest of it is irrelevant, really. I mean, it's nice to have, but we really want to make sure we've got one light. That did make a significant difference, alongside the 6 medium, which give us extra weapon and spell damage, extra crit damage, extra stam recovery, reduction to cost from dodge rolling and running and all that good stuff. That actually, the combo works really, really well. 7 medium is nice, but it was less when it came to DPS because we were overcapping way too much on crit damage. We had good recovery, but we were lacking the extra pen, and it kind of traded off very, very closely to each other. So you can do full medium if you really want to, but you are going to get more with one light. Fighter skill we're not using, Mage skill we're not using, Undaunted, get these 2 passives. If you take a synergy, you get resources back. Take synergies. I know, you might have to cut your beam off. It depends on what it is. If not, activate it before the beam finishes. You should be able to catch it. Increase resources for using 2 different types of armor. We're using light and medium, so we've got 4% there. I know, arguably, you can get 6% if you have a heavy piece, and then you get 2% more health if you have a heavy piece as well. Yes, you do. If you are struggling with your survival, you're more than welcome to do that, especially with your crafted set. You can change the weight. However, I don't recommend it on this build. You will lose a substantial amount of DPS if you are trying to hit higher numbers. If not, then it doesn't really matter. Orc. Max stam, max health, heal once every 4 seconds for doing damage, and weapon and spell damage increase, and we're fast, and it's cheaper to run. You do not have to be Orc. In fact, on my PlayStation server, my character over there, my main server in fact, I'm a Nord, because I've got more survival. That's it. How you play is up to you, but this is a very, very good balance of passives that are very hard to match for their mixture of individual bonuses if you want them all. Getting some of that from other races, you can, but you're not going to get the speed and the small amount of health and stamina at the same time as a heal. It is just nuts. Each race can do it perfectly fine, but these balance out alongside the design of the build very, very well. Medicinal use, make sure you get this, make sure you use your potions. If you're not using your potions, you're not getting major bonuses to your recovery, and you're going to suffer. If it's grey, good. If it's not, use it. Now, champion points. Same as before. Unless you haven't seen this before. Wrathful Strikes. Deadly Aim. Yes, these abilities count as individual hits. Master at Arms for direct damage. And they are Area of Effect as well. So all of these bonuses benefit you massively. Now listen very, very carefully. Technically speaking, all of these white passives can be obtained by any character in the game regardless of their build. You do need to get those, especially to unlock this tree. And especially in here to unlock this tree. They all benefit you. But the 4 slottables are the most important. However, if you feel like you're squishy and you are willing to sacrifice a minimal amount of DPS, you can take off Deadly Aim and you can replace it with Raving Blows. If you do that, I'm going to demonstrate this in a moment, you will heal for all direct damage that you do. Now, before we go any further into champion points, I will show you on the right-hand side of my character, very close to him, you will see some green. That is a heal there. That is a green. Not only is the tentacle healing me, but the actual passive itself, the slottable champion point, that is also healing me. Now watch very carefully. The beam, generally speaking, doesn't heal you. Let's build up a Crux. And then we'll hit this target over here. Now I'm healing all the time. All the damage that I do, I'm healing. Now that is a significant amount of heals if you have more than one target. So if we build up our Cruxes properly and fire it, now look at the green. Yes, every 0.3 seconds I'm healing. Anyway, more champion point stuff. It is important to note whether you are ultra squish and want to change to that, or if you don't. One will give you more damage, one will give you more survival. Technically speaking, they trade off against each other because if you're alive, you're doing deeps. Red stuff. Health, armor, stamina, and magic are back when you kill stuff. That's all you need. The rest of these white passives individually here, get them in your own time. Make sure you unlock them, obviously, as you progress. But these 4 slottables are crucial to your overall build, both survival and sustainability. Green stuff really doesn't matter. Green stuff is all quality of life. I would get this so you're faster between fights, but the rest of it, all these, they're nice and they're passive. So it doesn't matter. Take your time, get them when you need them. They are not really beneficial towards your content. However, this here, if you are going into subclassing and you haven't leveled up your skills yet, get this, it will level faster. Now, rotation, the easy part. So this here, we need to maintain. As you can see, the banner I would turn off out of combat, turn on in combat. If you realize that you're struggling for whatever reason and your resources are just not doing what you want them to do, and obviously you can't heavy attack to get stamina back because we're using a magical weapon, turn the banner off temporarily. You won't generate cruxes from that anymore, so it really doesn't matter. You will lose your resistance bonus, so be mindful that your survival will slightly suffer if you are in trouble. So, it should be on all the time, you should be taking synergies and such, but if you are struggling, turn it off for a short period of time and just gradually get your resources back. Now, this obviously, the bull netch, will give you resources back anyway. So if I was to dodge roll right now and hold block, I don't get stamina back. But as you can see, my bar is actually going up. Very slowly, but it's still going up. If it wasn't blocking, it goes up even quicker. So banner off, easy recovery. Anyway, what you should do, this should be on all the time. The banner should be on all the time. Bull netch is up to you, but I would maintain it anyway. One tentacle, if you've got no cruxes, will launch 2 cruxes because your scholarship is waiting for you with no cruxes to do damage. There's your first 2. Now, light attack, another tentacle. Now you have 3. Light attack, beam. Now when it finishes, tentacle, light attack, tentacle. You've got 3. Light attack, beam. That's literally it. Now when scholarship is about to run out, fire it. Tentacle, tentacle, beam. Now, let's add some more complication to that. This needs to be maintained at all time. You always need to fire 2 tentacles, then beam. And this bear should be fired when ready. How do you make that really, really efficient? Well, you could wait for the whole beam to finish and then light attack tentacle if you really wanted to. But let's make it really, really simple. While the beam is running, watch my bars. Specifically L1, the tentacle. Watch my bars. Time is counting down. I've already cast a tentacle. Fires by itself. Let me do that again. Watch carefully. I have pressed the button already. Fires for me. So, any buff, ultimate, skill, anything you want to fire while the beam is running. For example, I'll press Betty Netch now. Bull Netch even. And it fires after the beam. So, to make things simple for you, to make sure your rotation is flawless, while the beam is running, fire the tentacle so it's ready. When it goes off, light tentacle, light beam. Again, my buff is ready to be recast. I've already pressed it. Light tentacle. You will need to fire that twice. Again, the ultimate. I've just fired it. It fires for you. You can queue up a skill during the channel. So while the rule is tentacle, light beam, you can fire the tentacle now. Light tentacle, light beam, and it's ready. Fire the buff already. Light tentacle, light beam. And that is it. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. So to repeat that, to recap, maintain this buff, maintain your banner. 1, 2, beam. Pre-press it before it runs out. Light press it again. Light beam, continue. That is it. That will be on the website. Hopefully that makes more sense. But the bear should be fired as and when ready. Bear in mind, every rotation that you fire, once the beam is over, it's always 2 tentacles and a beam. But if you need to mix in your buff and your ultimate, make sure that you still account for those 2 tentacles. They still need to be fired. So do those as quickly as possible. Don't panic, of course, but if you do come out of a beam into a bear, for example, so he's ready now, you still need to fire light tentacle, beam. It does make it a little bit less fluent if you take too long, and it will be not fluent at all if you try to go too fast. So learn the pace of that and understand that while you're in that beam phase and the countdown is going down from 5 or 4 seconds, you have time to prepare your next skill. This, you shouldn't be panicking right now. Nothing is going on. Activate my buff. And again, do not panic. Beam is running loads of time. Tentacle is next. Slow down. Anyway, people, let's go to fashion. Fashion is important, right? Where are we? We're using the Divine Prosecutor's helmet. Obviously, it's a heavy. And then everything else is heavy, which is a Dwemer's Sneeze. It's not saying it. I probably could say it, but I'm not going to say it for dramatic effect. Oh my god, I can't say it. You try. Say it in the comments section. See if you can split it up and tell me how to say it like a 5-year-old. Anyway, we're using that. Then the colors, we're using the, I think it was Daedric Red? No, Card Sharp Crimson for the red here on the chest and also on the hands. The rest of it, there's a bit on the feet as well. The rest of it is just black. So technically speaking, if you want the exact blacks, this one is on the helmet, Void Pitch, because it's the one that makes it the darkest. And these ones actually match it quite well, so the gate's black for the rest of it. Whatever you can do. It's just black. Meanwhile, Ebon Shadow Staff, because everybody knows it's the best. There's no best in ESO. Correct, there isn't, but this is the best. People, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you liked the video, hopefully you liked the build, and hopefully you are happy with the new update. It didn't have to dramatically change, but at least you've got some replayability. You can now upgrade one of your class, subclass menus if you didn't have it done already, and now you got a new friend to play with. People, if you liked it, tell me in the comment section below. If you hated it, tell me as well. Hit the sub button on the way out, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.